Hello everybody, this is Debbie from the Inspiration Station. Thank you for joining me once again. Today I'm going to try to do a process video using these adorable photos of my nieces on their first day of school. I will be following a sketch from Allison Davis from her Facebook group. It's the 4x6 Only class Facebook group. I cannot show you the sketch because it is paid content, but that's where the sketch comes from, and this is week 8. I plan to use Simple Stories, School Life. I don't have any children in school, and my grandbabies are too young to be in school, so I was really thrilled when I got these photos of my nieces because I had this collection, and I figured I was going to have to hold on to it for a few years before I could use it, but this is actually going to work. The girls started kindergarten and first grade today, so I'm going to put together a layout. This page, this layout, will be using strips of paper, so not the full sheet. So these are just going to be used in small quantities, which I think they go well together. So they're all different school icons. And what I liked about this collection, the reason that I bought it originally, was that it could be used for any grade. It can be used for the preschool and the kindergarten and first graders, but it's also perfectly acceptable to use for high school students or college. So I did like that it was very versatile. Now most of these are the B sides, I believe, because the A sides we had some, cut aparts and, more icon type paper. But I think they still have enough of the icons that it's going to really showcase the paper. So those are the papers I'll be using. And then I decided in the sketch that Allison made, she used stars as her embellishments. And I decided that I had these 2x2 squares from a cut-apart sheet. So I will be using the 2x2 squares. And they will be going, let's see, I think I had planned them out to go in this order. And I thought they were really cute. They fit perfectly across the page. I am going to have a border on 4 sides of white so that it won't look too busy. And so I'm going to get started on that, and hopefully you will enjoy the process. So you will see as I go along in this process that I made a number of mistakes, or should we say changes to the design. Right now I'm picking out my order of the strips that I cut, and the way I had them laid out, I wrote at the bottom of the strip on the branding strip the order that I wanted. So that's what I'm doing here, is putting them back in order to lay them out on my sheet on my background. And you will notice that I mentioned earlier that I was going to have a 1-inch margin all the way around, and here I am sticking them all to the top of the page. I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing being glued down, but for some reason when I started this, I totally forgot about that 1-inch margin. But to make my strips on there straight, I did tape down my layout to the glass mat by Tim Holtz and use the tool that they give. It's like a T-square, but it's not a T. So I use that to line up the strips and keep them straight. Again, sticking them right to the top, whereas I did not want them. But by the time I realized it was too late to change. The problem was that the photos in the sketch were 4x6 horizontal, and mine are vertical. So when I put them on the page, there wasn't a whole lot of paper left showing below the photos. And that sort of changed the whole design. But anyway, I made it work. But that was just, mistake number 1. So here I have the photos, and this is where I'm going to end up making mistake number 2. I wanted to cut off the borders on 2 of the photos so that the spacing between each photo was the same. I didn't want that double border in between the photos. So I cut them off, on the outside photos, and then for some reason in my mind I was taping them together, and I taped it right on and then realized, what did I do? I wasn't going to have any border at all. But of course I was using the double-sided tape and it was impossible to get off, so I ended up cutting the borders off that middle photo completely, and I went and got some Color Vibe cardstock in blush, which was a pretty close match to the peachy pink that was on there. And I matted that center photo, which is going to be my focal photo anyway. I matted that onto the cardstock. But this is where I realized I have no paper underneath the photos really showing. It was supposed to hang down, looking like banners coming from the photos. But once I put the photos on, there really was nothing hanging below them in certain places. So, oh well, you know, you live and learn, you make mistakes, you move on. So I stuck the photos down, and I sort of, because I matted this, I had a little bit of extra space, so I decided I'd center this photo up and down so that it was sticking out a little bit. And I don't mind that so much. I am a little leery of the really wide cardstock border. It's not my favorite to have wide borders like that, but I will fix that in the end. Now I'm hanging the 2x2 squares that I picked out and realizing that they're not really going to line up the way that I thought. There were some striped strips in the sketch. They were actually going vertically on those vertical strips, but I felt the paper was busy enough, it didn't need it, so I was trying to find a place to put them elsewhere on the page so that I could actually use them. And a little bit later I do find a spot to put them. Unfortunately I'm off camera when I do it, so I apologize for that. I didn't realize the camera was zoomed in quite so much when I stuck them down. So I'm just playing around with these squares, trying to get it so that there's no awkward trapped space showing in between those squares. And I did pop up a few of the pieces. I'm using the Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L foam tape. It's the thinner one. You get like 108 yards or something on a roll. It's crazy. It's a great value for foam tape, so I like to use that. And this is where I was struggling to try and cover up that little bit of trapped white space. I didn't actually do it. I can see from this angle. It looked from where I was sitting like I had, but again, no big deal. It's on there, it's done. One of the other spaces between the Smarty Pants and the book bag, I actually ended up using a piece of chipboard, so I was able to cover that piece up. So now that I have the 2x2 squares on, I decided to use that rainbow stripe strip, and I'm putting it along the bottom of the page, right up to the edge. And as I said, it's off camera, so I apologize for that. It was out of frame. You'll see it later when I move the camera. But it did bring some of that rainbow color down to the bottom, so that was good. Now I'm going through looking for some embellishments, and I have the chipboard pieces and I have the sticker sheet, the 12x12 sticker sheet. Some of these little chipboard pieces I thought were really cute. They'll add some dimension to the page. I'm still eyeing that cardstock border there on the center photo and thinking it's too much. But I thought maybe using the little rainbow heart strip would help, I don't know, just fill in some of the space. I love the little pencil, and the eyeglasses were perfect because both girls wear glasses and they really love them. So I'll just glue those down. I'm using the, I believe it's the Lawn Fawn, yep, the Lawn Fawn liquid glue, which is great. It has a great little fine tip so you don't over glue things. It's easy to work with, so I really like that one. So once I get the chipboard down, I decide I'm going to stamp the date because I didn't have the date on there, and I just took a piece of the ephemera. I found the little I Love School and that little piece of like notebook paper, and I decided to use my date stamps from L's Studio. I love these stamps. I use them on almost every page I make, either just like I'm doing here with just the text or with those circles. The circles I didn't really want to use because I felt that the page was too busy. So I did a test stamp with my archival ink, and it looked pretty good, so I decided to stamp that. And there's mistake number 3. Now you won't notice it yet, probably, because in the photo it's hard to see. I stuck the date down and realized their sign said September, not August. I was doing this on September 1st, and so I got a little behind, I guess. I didn't realize we were on September 1st, but I'll fix that later. And I also had ink on my fingers, so I apologize for the shaky frame. I used my Tombow sand eraser to erase the inky fingerprints that I got on there. So even though I made a lot of mistakes, I still think the page came out great. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you again for joining me. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't yet. I appreciate you watching. Have a great day.